Hawaii has a moderately regulated late fee framework shaped by the state's strong tenant protection orientation and unique island rental dynamics. The governing law is found in the Hawaii Residential Landlord Tenant Code, Hawaii Revised Statutes, Chapter 521, along with general contract principles. If you're a landlord or tenant in Hawaii, the state provides meaningful landlord-tenant structure through the code, and Hawaii's extremely tight housing market makes compliance particularly important. Let's start with the basics. Hawaii does not impose a specific statutory dollar cap or percentage cap on late fees. There is no provision in Chapter 521 that limits the fee to a defined amount or percentage. The fee is governed by the lease terms and general contract principles, specifically the requirement that the fee be reasonable. Hawaii does not mandate a specific grace period by statute. There is no state law requiring a defined number of days before a late fee can be charged. However, standard practice among Hawaii landlords is to include a grace period of 5 to 10 days, and most professional property managers in Hawaii provide at least a 5-day grace period. The key legal principle is reasonableness, and Hawaii courts evaluate late fee provisions under both the General Contract Law Liquidated Damages Analysis and the Residential Landlord-Tenant Codes framework. Under HRS Chapter 521, the overall rental agreement must not contain unconscionable provisions. A late fee that is grossly disproportionate to the landlord's actual damages from late payment can be challenged as unconscionable under the code. The dual standard, reasonableness under contract law and unconscionability under the code, means Hawaii courts have meaningful tools to evaluate and strike down excessive fees. A fee must satisfy both tests to be enforceable. What's reasonable in Hawaii? The state has one of the most expensive rental markets in the country, driven by limited land, geographic isolation, strong demand, and high construction costs. Rents in Honolulu commonly range from $1,800 to $2,800. Outer Island rents are somewhat lower, but still high by national standards. A flat fee of $50 to $100 or a percentage-based fee of 5 to 8% of the monthly rent is generally defensible. Given Hawaii's high rents, even a modest percentage produces meaningful dollar amounts. 5% of a $2,000 rent is $100. The lease must clearly state the late fee terms. Under HRS Chapter 521, the rental agreement must be in writing for tenancies longer than 1 year. And best practice is to have a written agreement for any tenancy regardless of length. The lease should specify the rent due date, any grace period, the exact fee amount or formula, when the fee triggers, whether additional charges apply for continued non-payment, and whether the fee is defined as additional rent. Hawaii's Unfair or Deceptive Acts or Practices Statute, HRS Chapter 480, provides an additional enforcement mechanism. The statute prohibits unfair or deceptive business practices and applies to residential rental transactions. A late fee that is excessive or improperly disclosed can constitute an unfair practice. The statute provides for actual damages and, in some cases, treble damages, plus attorney's fees. This creates meaningful risk for landlords who systematically overcharge. Compounding late fees in Hawaii must satisfy both the reasonableness and unconscionability standards. A single one-time fee after the grace period is the safest approach. Daily or weekly compounding that accumulates to a disproportionate amount faces challenge on both grounds. Most Hawaii landlords use a single flat fee, which is clean and defensible. The interaction between late fees and the eviction process in Hawaii is governed by the Residential Landlord-Tenant Code and the Summary Possession Statutes. Under HRS Section 521-68, the landlord must provide a 5-day notice for non-payment of rent. If the tenant fails to pay within 5 days, the landlord can file for summary possession. Whether unpaid late fees can be included in the 5-day notice depends on how the lease defines them. If defined as additional rent, they can be included. If treated as a separate charge, the landlord may need to pursue them independently. Best practice: define late fees as additional rent. Hawaii's eviction process is moderately paced. The 5-day notice followed by court proceedings can take several weeks. The amount demanded must be accurate at every stage. Hawaii's courts scrutinize eviction filings, particularly given the state's housing shortage, where eviction effectively eliminates a tenant's housing options in an extremely tight market. Hawaii limits the security deposit to 1 month's rent. The deposit must be returned within 14 days. The landlord must provide an itemized statement of deductions. Unpaid late fees can be deducted if the lease authorizes it, and the fees are reasonable. Failure to return the deposit within 14 days can result in the landlord being liable for the full deposit amount plus potential damages. Hawaii's 14-day deposit return deadline is one of the shortest in the country, meaning landlords must act quickly after the tenant vacates. Having late fee records organized and accurate before move-out ensures the deduction calculation can be completed within the tight window. For tenants receiving housing choice voucher assistance, which is common in Hawaii given the high housing costs and significant military population, landlords should not charge late fees when the housing authority's portion is delayed due to processing. Hawaii prohibits source of income discrimination under HRS Section 515.3. Landlords cannot discriminate based on the tenant's use of housing assistance. Penalizing a voucher tenant for the authority's processing delay creates both a late fee violation and a discrimination claim. Hawaii's military population is enormous relative to the state's size, and the military presence fundamentally shapes the rental market. Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam, Schofield Barracks, Marine Corps Base Hawaii at Kaneohe Bay, Fort Shafter, Tripler Army Medical Center, and Camp Smith are all on Oahu, along with numerous smaller installations. The military population on Oahu represents a massive segment of the rental market. Military BAH rates for Hawaii are among the highest in the nation, reflecting the extreme cost of housing. Many landlords price their units specifically to align with BAH rates. Military pay is predictable, the 1st and 15th, and most military tenants pay reliably. Late fee enforcement for military tenants is minimal. However, PCS transitions in Hawaii have unique complications. Moving to or from Hawaii requires a longer logistical process than a continental transfer. Household goods shipments take weeks. Temporary lodging may be needed, and the financial disruption of an ocean move can create temporary cash flow challenges. Some Hawaii landlords provide extra flexibility during PCS transitions, particularly the first month. The outer islands, Maui, Kauai, and the Big Island, have distinct rental dynamics. Maui's market is heavily influenced by tourism. Resort workers need housing but earn significantly less than what the market demands. The housing affordability crisis on Maui is acute, particularly after the Lahaina wildfire disaster, which destroyed a significant portion of the island's housing stock and displaced thousands of residents. The Lahaina disaster created unprecedented disruption to Maui's rental market, with displaced residents competing for a severely reduced housing supply. In the aftermath of a disaster of this magnitude, late fee enforcement against affected tenants is both inappropriate and potentially legally problematic. Landlords on Maui should understand the ongoing impact of the disaster on the rental market. Kauai has a tight market with limited supply. The Big Island, Hawaii Island, has the most affordable rents in the state, but still high by national standards. Hilo has a moderate market. Kona's tourism-driven west side is more expensive. Hawaii's tourism economy creates specific late payment dynamics. Hotel, restaurant, and retail workers represent a significant portion of the non-military tenant population, and their income can fluctuate with tourist volume. High season, roughly December through April and June through August, produces strong income. Slow periods can reduce hours and earnings. Late payment patterns among tourism workers may follow these seasonal cycles. From a practical standpoint, Hawaii's extremely tight housing market means that losing a tenant over a late fee dispute is particularly costly. Vacancy costs in Hawaii are among the highest in the country. Every day a unit sits empty costs far more than any late fee. This economic reality should inform late fee enforcement decisions. Oahu, specifically Honolulu, is the dominant rental market. The concentration of military installations, government, healthcare, including Queen's Medical Center and Tripler Army Medical Center, tourism and higher education, University of Hawaii at Manoa, creates massive demand. Supply is severely constrained by geography and zoning. The result is chronic housing shortage with very low vacancy rates. Most Honolulu landlords charge flat fees of $50 to $100 with a 5-day grace period. Given the rent levels, even a $100 fee represents a modest percentage. Late payment is less common in Hawaii than in many mainland markets because tenants know that losing their housing in this market means potentially leaving the islands entirely. Kapolei, Ewa Beach, and the Leeward Coast have somewhat more affordable rents driven by newer development and military family housing demand. The windward side, Kailua, Kaneohe, has premium rents near Marine Corps Base, Hawaii. The North Shore has a smaller market with tourism influence. One best practice for Hawaii landlords: set your late fee at a level that reflects Hawaii's high costs while remaining defensible. A fee of 5 to 8% of the monthly rent produces meaningful dollar amounts on Hawaii's high rents, $50 to $80 on a $1,000 outer island rent, or $100 to $160 on a $2,000 Honolulu rent. These amounts compensate for administrative costs without being punitive. Another best practice: include a grace period of at least 5 days. Hawaii's geographic isolation means that mail delivery can be slower than the mainland, particularly for outer island properties. Electronic payment systems reduce this issue, but a 5-day grace period accommodates processing delays from any source. A third best practice: understand the military BAH cycle and how it affects your tenant base. If a significant portion of your tenants are military, their payment timing is driven by the military pay schedule, the 1st and 15th. Setting your due date to align with a military pay date reduces late payments. Most Hawaii landlords who serve the military market use the 1st of the month, which aligns with the first military payday. For the complete guide to Hawaii late fee laws, visit tenantscreeningbackgroundcheck.com. Subscribe to our channel for every state in our late fee law series.